Greetings survivors, this is the Neuroshima Hex gamer. In today's video, I'm going to start breaking down each of the armies. Let's dive in. We will start with Borgo, since they're first here. From a thematic perspective, since the beginning of the war, Moloch has created numerous generations of mutants, more or less effective on the battlefield. Enhanced growth rate, genetic engineering, and high combat skills are the essence of mutants' abilities. Their various breeds roam the barren lands and fight for every inch of the land, quite often against one another. The scattered groups have finally become united by the charismatic cyber mutant Borgo, who leads its horde against humanity under its defiling banner of biohazard. Now, just off the gate, Borgo is always the first army I recommend to new players, especially if they want to do fairly well. I still very much enjoy playing them, and we'll get into that here as to why. Okay, starting with the Borgo HQ. Like every other HQ, it attacks at Initiative 0, which is a very key component to Neuroshima Hex. And then it has a melee attack in each of its 6 directions. Again, at that Initiative 0. And then its special ability, which is really sweet, is that all friendly adjacent units to the HQ have +1 initiative, which means they can attack faster than they normally could. Now, this applies to the adjacent units. It does not apply to the HQ itself for this ability. There are 6 mutants in Borgo. They attack at Initiative 2, and they attack in a melee attack in 3 directions. Very standard unit, but a great way to use them is to help. If you use your mutants to surround your HQ and you place your HQ in the middle of the board, then you have all the mutants can attack then at Initiative 3 because they're next to the HQ. So it's a very good way to be an aggressive, defensive unit. There are 4 butchers who attack at Initiative 3, generally, in a melee attack in 2 directions. Most but not all of Borgo's units are melee units. Again, if you stick him by your HQ, he'll attack at Initiative 4. You have to have some kind of a boost to attack at Initiative 4. The Net Fighter. This is by far my favorite unit in Borgo, bar none. It has an initiative of 1, so it has 3 melee attacks, but in 1 direction. And in that direction, it also has a net. The net disables adjacent opponents so they can't attack. So if you place this unit against an enemy HQ, the net will disable HQ from attacking you, and then at Initiative 1, you'll hit the HQ or whatever other unit you use with 3 attacks. This is a great way to whittle down an enemy HQ, but also any unit that's very strong. This will just punch through it. The Brawler is a very useful unit, and this will allow us to talk about a few other abilities in Neuroshima Hex. So it can attack at Initiative 2. It has melee attacks, 1 to the left, 2 straight ahead, and 1 towards the right. It has a toughness of 2, which is shown by the gold shield, which means the unit itself, instead of getting hit once and being destroyed, has to get hit twice. once for the shield, and once for the toughness, and once for the unit itself. And then the black areas on the top 3 edges, that's armor, which the armor decreases the strength of enemy ranged unit attacks by 1. So very good to have to help block any shooters, but also he can also punch back very well. With the armor and the toughness combination, he becomes quite a formidable opponent and can stick around for quite a while. So place him wisely. The super mutant attacks twice in one direction at initiative 2. Very good, pretty straightforward unit. The assassin, there are 2 of these, and this is Borgo's only ranged unit. It shoots once at initiative 3 in the long white wedge. And then the mobility, which is the gold circle with the arrow on it, once per turn, this unit can move 1 hex onto a free hex and or rotate freely. Very good to have to help pick off some enemy units before they have the ability to attack, especially if you can stick the assassin again next to the HQ and boost their initiative to 4. Okay, there's 1 medic, which means that a connected unit on those 3 white rectangles, a connected unit must ignore all wounds from 1 attack, and then the medic is discarded instead of that unit. Very good unit it's good to have. If I have this versus 2 units that can attack, I generally keep the 2 units, but the medic's good to help protect one of your units, especially again the net fighter, which if you can, once he's locked onto an HQ, which is always my goal, then I do whatever I can to surround the net fighter and protect him as much as possible. The officer gives connected units +1 strength in melee combat. Again, get this on a net fighter, that boosts his attack to, instead of 3 hits, to 4. A super officer is the same as a regular officer, but it has toughness, so it takes 2 hits to take it out. There's 2 of these scouts, which give connected units +1 initiative. So if you're doing the math now, yes, you can have, say, an initiative 3 unit that is next to the HQ, so that's boosted to 4. If that unit is connected to 2 scouts, then that 4 initiative goes to 5 and then to 6. So you can have units attacking very early. And even though the Borgo units don't necessarily hit the hardest, and that's why they have the officers, if they can hit hard enough, they can hit fast and take out enemies before they even have the opportunity to fire or attack. There are 6 battle tiles, which starts a battle. And these can be used very wisely. Again, for me, because Borgo can hit so quickly, I generally, if it's down to a battle and a couple of units, I'll keep the units. If, say, I have a protected net fighter latched onto an enemy base and that the net fighter would stay protected after a battle, then I will initiate a battle to help knock down that HQ. 4 moves, which is great. Moves a unit to an adjacent unoccupied hex and or turns it in any desired direction. And then there's a grenade. This is a special instant action tile that destroys 1 chosen enemy unit that is adjacent to your HQ. You can't attack enemy HQs. This brings up 2 points with this grenade. Number one, if your headquarters is netted, it cannot use the grenade ability. Also, HQs cannot attack each other. So they can be placed next to each other and they won't do damage to each other. So there's the Borgo army. A very good army. Again, I recommend them for beginners because they have, relatively speaking, few units, but a higher quantity of them. The net fighter is very devastating, and the plus initiative doesn't seem to throw people off too much. So, that is Borgo. Stay tactical, stay safe. This is the Neuroshima Hex Gamer signing off.